Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today it's time to see an update of the first video I made for Igrolon and Mosmix. Nothing happened like I wanted, but I make the video because some of you asked for the update. I began to make a time-lapse, which I had to stop unfortunately. You will see it in few seconds, but I want to make a short reminder for those of you who didn't see the first video. Just remind that the tank looks like this, with technical part and the liana which occupy a part of the space. And finally, at the end of the first video, the whole stuff looked like this. Now, let's go to the time-lapse. And yes, nothing else to show because all stopped to grow. Now we can check what's happened. As you could notice in the time-lapse, there were 3 steps and you will see the final look of the tank at the end of the video. For the first step, after some months, the stuff seems to be weak. Creeping plant on the bottom left began to grow. Then, as we saw in the time-lapse, moss began to grow and suddenly stopped after some months. It was the same for creeping plant, which completely died. On the other end, bromeliads grow correctly and some new sprouts appears as we can see at the beginning of the time-lapse. With a view of whole tank, we can see very well that nothing except bromeliads grow on the Igrolon. In closer view, we can see only few sprouts here and there, so I undertook to remove Mosmix, and I put it back in the bag in case of. Then I decided to buy Java moss. I get Vesicularia montaniei. This is the moss I spoke about in one of my first videos, and the same I used in another video, and where it grows very well on natural material. I proceed the same way, cutting moss in very small parts, before disposing them on the background. That was the same result. Moss began to grow during some weeks, then stopped and died. Last step was to include an easy climbing plant. As often, I chose a Ficus pumilia to show you something acceptable. I didn't film this part, but again it began to grow, then stop. However, at midway, I modified light canopy to remove current Dulux light tube and replace it by a more powerful light bulb in 6000 kelvins in place of 4000 kelvins. But nothing really happened, so today the result is this one. We can note that the ficus doesn't really grow anymore despite the amount of light. Bromeliads are okay and healthy and continue to grow. Only one plant grows from the Mosmix. It is the fern you can see in the background, so I didn't remove this part. It seems to grow well even if it grows very slowly. I think it is an adiantum, but this kind of plant have about 200 of different species of fern, so it is not easy to determine what we have in front of us. If you have an idea of what it is, feel free to say it in the comment section. So what the hell is the problem? Hard to say. Igrolon is a material different of the EpiWeb I already used successfully in one of my first videos. However, I already saw terrarium fully set with Igrolon in which all works correctly with beautiful moss carpet and plants. And Igrolon retains water well, even it isn't as much as I thought. Unless the one I get was in contact with chemical products, I don't see why it doesn't work with mine. As nothing grows, I can't speak about the moss mix quality, it is hard to tell in these conditions. Unfortunately, this tank stays a total failure and I don't have any explanations. So I continue to think about it, but I drop Igrolon and Mosmix for now to work with something else, and I will probably try again in the future. Sorry, the video was short and not so explanatory, but at least we saw together what's happened with this damn terrarium. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be aware of the next videos, and see you next time, bye!